Have you ever wondered why some traders seem to consistently make profits while others struggle to break even? It all comes down to the psychology behind trading. Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci-Traders.com here with the daily market recap. Please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends, and let's see the charts. Fed raises interest rates by 25 basis points. SPY reaction to the downside. Now 407, 406 area needs to hold. Otherwise, in my opinion, this gap at the 397 will get filled. We know that more than 80% of all gaps will get filled. 407 failing to hold. In my opinion, this gap will get filled because we know gaps are like magnets to price action, and the sooner this gap will get filled, the better. Then bulls will have enough power for the next leg up. QQQ, same thing. Now 315 needs to hold, otherwise this red trend line with the gap at the 307, 308 will get filled. Follow price. Use Fibonacci levels and trend lines as your roadmap to the future price action. No other indicators are truly needed because all indicators, without any exceptions, are lagging. And if all indicators are lagging, so we don't need to use them because we want to know where price might be heading next. Looking left, we can do so. We don't need any EMA, MA, Bollinger Bands, or any other indicator to tell us where price came from. We can all look left, see where price came from, where it is now. Why it is now here at the IWM? Because we look left. 170, very important level of support. Breaking to the downside. Next level of support will be the 163. Look left. This will be the next level of support once 170 will break to the downside. Trend lines helps us to identify the lower lows, the lower highs, which means this is the roadmap to the future of IWM as long as this red trend line is holding the lower highs. Dow Jones back below the red trend line. This red trend line goes all the way to January of 2022, and each and every time since then price got rejected. Now 331 needs to hold, otherwise we follow the levels to the downside as future support. We do have here small gap at the 329, then we have another gap at the 322. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? The 322 gap will get filled? Yes or no? This gap, in my opinion, more than 90% chance it will get filled because we do have here a double top scenario on the Dow Jones. 331 needs to hold. If this one will fail to hold, this gap will get filled. The only question is if this gap at the 322 will get filled as well. Let me know in the comments below. VIX continuing to bounce between the 16 and the 18. Inside day on the VIX. Let's see tomorrow and Friday where VIX is heading. Don't forget tomorrow, Thursday, Apple earnings coming out 4:30. Bitcoin continuing to bounce between this red trend line and this red trend line, because we know the trend lines are the true support resistance for price action, but we also know the trend lines are the roadmap for future price action. Once we understand the true relationship between candlestick analysis, aka price action, and trend lines, we can trade anything we want. Whether it's crypto, whether it's Forex, whether it's stocks or ETFs, it doesn't really matter, because in the end, the bottom line is it's all candlestick analysis, price action, and trend lines. You don't need 5 different courses to know how to trade Forex or crypto or stocks. All you need to do is truly understand in-depth candlestick analysis, Fibonacci, and trend lines. That's it. If you want to take a trading journey to the highest level, check the links in the description below. We have 2 programs: Fibonacci-Traders program, which is pre-recorded program, 6 hours, 49 lessons, or the one-on-one mentorship live program. Both programs, my promise to you: first, lifetime access, support, guidance, all Discord channels, and most importantly, you will become your own indicator and you will stop following others. Ethereum, 1800 needs to hold, 1930, strong resistance. 1800 failing to hold, 17, 16, and then 1500s. SMH, trend lines are the true support, resistance for price action. And as long as this trend line is holding the lower highs, we are going to the downside. Next level of support is the 240. 240 will fail to hold, then we are going to this yellow trend line to the downside. Oil. If you follow me on Twitter and you saw previous videos in the past few weeks or so, you know that we said that if 83 will fail to break once again to the upside, this yellow trend line needs to hold. If this yellow trend line will fail to hold, we are going back to the downside to this blue trend line. And here we are. Blue trend line almost touched, 64 holding. Now let's see if oil can bounce back up towards the yellow trend line. Breaking below the blue trend line, we have the levels to the downside. 60 and 54 are next. Apple, earnings tomorrow, Thursday, 4:30. For now, this red trend line that was a very tough resistance since January of 2022, now holding a support. Breaking below, we have this white trend line to the downside. Breaking below this white trend line, and this gap over here at the 158 will get filled. And if Apple is breaking to the downside, you can expect SPY and Qs going to the downside as well. Shopify breaking below this trend line holding the higher lows since December of 2022. Now it seems like this trend line is failing to hold. Next level of support, this 45, 80, 45 needs to hold, otherwise 44 and maybe back to 39. Breaking above this yellow trend line, 50 is the next resistance, because 50 we have a slight gap over here. Follow price, use levels, trend lines, and manage risk according. AMD breaking below this red trend line. Now it seems like AMD is heading towards this gap over here at a 75. AMD have several gaps to the downside. These are the 3 major gaps to the downside. More than 80% chance these gaps will get filled. This gap, in my opinion, will get filled anytime soon. These 2 we need to see and wait. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Is the 70 and this gap at the 64 will get filled as well? Let me know in the comments below. Very interesting to know. What are your thoughts? Amazon holding strong inside this upper channel. As we can see, this channel started over January 2023. Since then, it's holding. Breaking to the downside, 101 needs to hold. then we have all the levels to the downside to manage our risk. If you're not long yet on Amazon, I would wait for a bounce and a weekly close above the 107.50. Tesla, as we can see, 163, 164, very tough resistance because it was a very important level of support over here. Now, resistance, bulls are trying to avoid this gap, but in my opinion, and it's only my opinion of course, in my opinion, this gap will get filled anytime soon, and the sooner the better. Then bulls will have the power that they need, the stamina that they need to bounce off the 150 or the 136 next leg up. Meta holding the 233 as very interesting level of support. It was resistance over here, now acting as support since earnings. Failing to do so, a weekly close below the 233, this gap will get filled. Too many gaps to the downside on Meta. We have this gap over here at the 215. We have this slight gap at the 202. Another gap at the 183. And this major gap at the 152. We also have this big void here to the upside at the 315 area. All we have to do is sit and wait where price is taking us. If you're not long yet on Meta, in my opinion, this is not the time to get long on Meta. If you're not short on Meta, I would wait for a weekly close below the 233. Of course, everything you see and hear on this video is for educational purposes only. Always do your own due diligence. Never follow blindly anyone on social media, paid or free services. Do your own due diligence. No one knows better than you. Once you have the proper tools and the proper mindset, you will become your own indicator and you will stop following others. Follow others to get ideas. It's perfectly fine. Get ideas, get education. But in the end of the day, it's up to you. Microsoft 303 holding. Bulls knows once 303 and this red trend line will break to the downside, this gap at the 282 will get filled. Google continuing to move sideways. 103 to the downside, 108 to the upside, short below this yellow trend line, long continuation above the 108. Netflix 317, 316 holding together with this red trend line. This red trend line goes all the way back to July of 2022 and held since then all the higher lows. If this red trend line will fail to hold together with the 316, then we have 303, 287 to the downside, and we have another trend line over here that helps us to identify that we are in a slight downtrend since February from 380 now to 316. Follow price, use levels. Long continuation for Netflix above this yellow trend line. Nvidia broke below once again 280, very tough resistance. 2 days ago broke to the upside. Yesterday inside candle indecision, and today market decided to close below the 280, but once again we have a doji. Overall, Nvidia moving sideways, bouncing between the 266 and the 280 since middle of March. 1.5 months of a sideways move on Nvidia. Short, in my opinion, below the 267. A long continuation, a weekly close above the 281, 282. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends, will be much appreciated. Don't forget to check the links in the description below for more educational resources. Until the next video, do good things.